So today's meeting, going virtual, I know a lot of us might have a lot of questions or a lot of uncertainty as we move forward. And so Dr. Domian and myself had decided that we would host, let me do introductions, excuse me. My name is Lionel. I'm the Associate Fair Director of the Science and Engineering Fair of Houston. With us today, I have my boss, I guess, Dr. Domian. Dr. Domian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, welcome. Thank you so much for spending your time this afternoon with us to learn a little bit more about SEFH. My name is Dr. Domian. I'm the Executive Director of the Science Fair, and I work closely, of course, with my colleague, Dr. Rondu. And so once again, we appreciate you being here and nice to see the friendly faces.
Great, thank you. So as I was saying, we're going virtual, right? And this brings a lot of anxiety for a lot of us, especially myself, trying to convert a fair that has been traditionally face-to-face and bringing it online has not been a small task at all. And I can only imagine what that task is like for all of you, making that transition on top of already trying to teach online and maintain, your student engagement while doing perhaps even a hybrid class where you got part of your class at home and, another half come in a class, and how do you keep those two interactive? And so thank you for persisting with the science fair and trying to make this event available for your students. So Dr. Domian and I, we decided to split up or host a few sessions for our teachers at all levels, right? Whether it be a new teacher or a returning teacher or an administrator, and just to get them familiarized with the online or onboarding process. And so we broke it down so that the first part is going to be focused on Scienteer and what you need to do in Scienteer in order to ensure that your students transition from your school fair, district fair, into SEFH. And the second part then is how do we, now that we've uploaded our students and we have our students in the system on Scienteer, what do our students need to do? And so our next meeting, we will talk about uploading the documents and what those documents are and talking a little bit more about that and what the requirements about that. And then finally, our last workshop is gonna be focused on the process itself, the judging process, going to TechSEF, ISEF, or what have you. So we hope you guys join us. We hope you guys find the information that we share useful. Again, the format for today, we'll spend about 30 minutes discussing, Scienteer itself, and then we'll open it up for the last 30 minutes for Q&A. And of course, if at any time you want me to show you guys how to use or do anything specific in Scienteer, please do let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do that. So to start us off, I'm going to go ahead and upload a few files into the chat. And the first one is going to be accessing student account, all right? And so the student account can be accessed by anybody who is, so the way Scienteer works is on a hierarchical tiered level, right? And so you can access the account as long as you're A, the teacher, you could be B, the school fair administrator, or C, you could be the district administrator, or at my level, I can be the regional administrator there, and so I'm able to access student accounts that way, so you could do it remotely. The next file I want to upload is going to be called Monitoring Students SRC Status. So the reason for having this file created is in the years past, many teachers have asked us, I don't, have contacted the office and said, hey, I don't know what part of the process my student is in. Can you tell me if my student has been SRC approved or not? And so hopefully this guide will help you get that information quicker than it is to email our office. And then finally, of course, but not least, the last thing I would like to share with you guys is selecting your winners and advancing them to Scienteer. And this one is important, especially if you are a fair administrator, whether it be at the school fair level or at the district level, moving your students forward. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Of course, those files are for you to reference, and then I'll go ahead and do a share screen so that we could just jump into it and see how this all works. So give me a second to do a share screen here.
Dr. Rondoon?
Yes.
I think since we have a nice amount of participants here to that degree, shall we have them just introduce themselves briefly?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm so excited to get things going and just like jump right into things. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. Who'd like to start us off?
This is Ram Chada. I'm actually doing this for as a homeschool, so I'm sort of familiar, but not entirely. So I wanted to, fill the missing pieces today.
Great, welcome.
I'm Michael Wirtz, Baylor College of Medicine Academy at Ryan Middle School. I'm doing this for year number 6, and thank you very much for doing this.
Great, thank you for joining us.
I'm Arden Zimmerman. I'm a science specialist at Friendswood High School and just listening in so that I can help my teachers help our students with this process.
Great, welcome, thank you.
Rachel McConnell. I'm with the Rubicon Academy, and so I'm just trying to figure out how to help them through so we don't get lost or fall through the cracks.
Great, welcome.
Yeah. I'm Alexandra Early from Aldine ISD and just want to review.
Welcome, welcome. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then. Hopefully you guys can see my Scienteer shared screen right now. Hopefully that's what we're all seeing?
Yes.
Great. All right, so as with all processes, starting off with Scienteer, be sure you always log in. And when you log in, the first thing is always going in and making sure you identify your correct role, right? What is your role? Are you gonna go in as a teacher or are you going in as an administrator? And so here, if we go in, I'm going to go ahead and select my role as teacher. All right. So once you're in as your teacher, there's two ways of, at the teacher view, there's one way of going in to see your student accounts and logging in as your student. And the easiest way is to look for this teacher management area and just clicking the student button. From here, you're going to get populated a list of all your students. You'll also be able to see where they are in terms of their account setup, project steps, and the detail, right? Remember, anytime you advance any projects from one fair to another, they must be 100% complete, and their project step must be done here, or they must be at step 19. Anybody below that, you will not be allowed to advance them in Scienteer, okay? So here, as you can see on my screen, it doesn't give me the option to log in as student. So how do we find out where our student login is? You go ahead and you click this plus button. And from there, it'll give you this option to log in as students. For those of you that like to use widescreen view or have widescreens available to you, you might be able to see all of these column visibility items displayed at the top of your screen. Okay, and a note about this column visibility, if there at any time you want to not view certain things, you can go ahead and use this menu here to tell Scienteer what exactly you want to see. So for example, maybe you don't need to see your own teacher email, you can take that off. Maybe you don't want to see your teacher information, you can take that off. All right, and by clicking those things, you'll notice that it does allow you to see a little bit more of what you couldn't see earlier there for your student view here. So again, here you go in and you click log in as student. Once you click in as student, here you can see this is your student dashboard. You're in as your student, right? So you can go in and you can click title and category. You can go ahead as the teacher to see what the student had input, if this is how you want to review your student project. You can go ahead and also start manipulating or changing or updating what your student had inputted here. And then you can submit that. Just be mindful, certain changes that you do for your students might also trigger them to go backwards in steps. But this is one way, again, of going in as a student to make certain changes. So again, if your student needed to go, so that's prompted because the project's already advanced and is under SRC review. Survey questions, again, here you get the pop-up that says you will reset your project. All right, so again, if you ever, if your students are just starting the process and you want to see how they answered their survey. So let's say your student says, hey, I didn't get to fill out a certain form for an ISEF form that I needed to do. You can go ahead and review the survey questions that they filled out. But just keep in mind, the further along the process they get, if you try to go backwards and make changes, you will have to start over. All right, any questions here on the student view? Also on the student view, if they tell you, oh, my project says it's under SRC review and errors are fixed, but I don't know how to fix it. Again, you can go in as a student, you can view what errors were found, address the comments that SRC might have given you, and then click resubmit or what have you. Okay? Now, to go back into your dashboard, do not forget to click this button here that says click to return to your account. If you do not click this button and you just simply try to use the back button, you are going to be given an oops. Now let's see if I can trigger it. Oh, it's working fine today. But again, if sometimes, oh, here we go. Uh-oh, something broke, right? So if you don't use that proper button, sometimes when you try to manipulate through Scienteer again, although all things look normal like it did earlier, you are gonna be given this oops button. And if you get this, it's not a problem. You just simply go to home. It'll bring you back to where you are. You can reset, click here to go back to your account. And then you're back at your teacher view. All right, so again, this is a teacher view. If you are not a teacher and you're just an administrator, your view is going to look different. So let me go ahead and log in as an administrator. So this is the view of a fair administrator. At the prospect of like a campus administrator. Okay, so if you're like the campus lead, this is what your view would look like. Again, the process is very much the same. You go under students, you go ahead and you can click login as student. Remember, if this manage section is not visible, you'll have that green plus sign next to your student's last name. You click that, and then you can go in and log in as student. All right. Cool, and so that's how you log in as student. Well, from this view, what else can you do? Oops, excuse me, let me go here. So now that we know how to get in as, log in as students, what else can we do from this dashboard here of looking at all of our students? You can also edit your student's password. So I'm sure many times your students might say, I don't know what my password is. Yes, they can go into Scienteer and they can fill out the form to request a new password, but all of that information comes directly to me. And so I have to manually go in and either A, change the password and put in a generic, or B, trigger the system to spit out a new password. So you as a teacher or an administrator can also do that. All you have to do, again, is go under the Manage column, click the Edit Profile, scroll down where you say, and you can see here in the security information where you can update the student's password. As an administrator of an account, you can also do this for your teachers. So if you ever have a teacher who says, hey, I don't know what my password is for Scienteer, you can always go in and change it here, very much the same way for a teacher. Also from this student screen here, if your student is ever changing class, so let's say you have it under Dr. Domyon as their teacher, but now you want to change it to me, you can go here under Move Students. All right, so as an administrator, again, you can always move your student. Or let's say your student moves from your campus and goes to another campus, same process, right? Is that you can move a student who wants to do science fair at a different campus. You can simply select this move student and then complete this information here. And then make sure you always hit that submit button. Okay? Any questions here on how we could move our students or log in as students or reset passwords or anything like that? None. Great. All right. So I did mention that you could also change a teacher's password. So for, again, at Fair Administrators, you go here, depending on what view you have. All right. I am accessing it from the district level look of what it would be for the district level. However, let's say you're the campus administrator. Your view changes slightly to look something like this, where you would have the word teachers. Okay, so if you have the word teachers, you click the word teachers, and that is how you can access your teacher's account. Again, you go here, you can edit the teacher's profile to reset passwords, or you could view their dashboard. Let's say a teacher says, hey, Lionel, I don't know how to view my students' accounts, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. All right, so again, you can log in as that teacher. You can see their dashboard here. The only thing you cannot do as a fair administrator in another teacher's account is you cannot approve projects, or you cannot sign off on a project on behalf of a teacher. All right, that is not allowed. Only the teacher can give certain approvals to that student during various steps of the Scienteer process. Okay. Great. Okay, now let's then go ahead and transition to how do we check our students' SRC status. All right, so go ahead and open up that second document that we included in the chat, and you can go ahead and look at, review that document, and I will show you all how we can check our winner's status. All right, so from the dashboard, let's do it from the perspective of the campus administrator. This is the campus administrator again. So from the campus administrator's view, you go here where it says winner statuses, okay? And this is true for the teacher view and also for the district representative's view or the district administrator's view. If you ever want to see the SRC status of your students advancing to the next level fair, you always look for where it says here, winner's statuses. All right, go ahead and you click winner's statuses. Uh-oh, here we are. And here you would see SRC status, okay? Again, keep in mind, with this view, if you do not have a widescreen view, you can alter what you're seeing here by clicking the column visibility button to either hide what you don't want to see, to allow other things to expand, or include it. All right, so here you see the SRC status says requires revisions. If you want to see what those revisions are, you can go ahead and say view project. You can see the review history and see how many times or who has reviewed it. But you can also log in as a student this way too, to see what does the student need to do. All right. So what does that then look like? Let's say that the status for that one says required review. So let's talk about the other different statuses of SRC. So I'm gonna go in and make pretend I am a SRC member at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and review a project. And I'm going to say, for this one, approved project. So as a teacher, again, this is the administrator of this campus. You go again to your winner statuses. and you'll see that the SRC status has changed from being yellow or that gold of needing review to SRC approved. All right. Now, I do want to point out, if at any time as your students progress, it is not yellow or green, but instead it is red, we need to put immediate attention to that project. Because if the project is red when you view your winners, if at any time it is red, that means that the project has been disqualified. Here you see under discussion. The under discussion will not see disqualified. It will just remain red. If at ever again you see under SRC status that the project is red, please contact the SEFH office immediately so that we can discuss what the issues are of that project. All right, just because the project says under discussion here, don't take that as we're still talking about it. No, if it is red and under discussion, that means that project has been disqualified for competition. Okay. So again, please contact our office. Yeah, go ahead.
Majority of the times that we have our projects disqualified as well is because they had some form or fashion of experimental mold that they were working with, not in a BSL-1 lab, but yet they conducted that at home in a home environment. And according to our ISEF rules and regulations that we abide by as an affiliate, that is not permissible. Right. And that actually encompasses majority of those types of disqualifications.
Right. So when we do disqualify projects, right, we're not doing it because we want to, right? We try our best. And that's why I'm saying to contact the SEFH office so that we can discuss the reasons of that project being disqualified to see if it is something that we can fix. For example, sometimes a student leaves off a form. Well, we can add forms in, but the SRC will trigger a disqualification. But again, if it is something that is fixable, we will work with you to fix and address that problem. Okay. Now, I do want to show you guys what that view looks like on the student's end, all right? Because the students don't know that their project has been disqualified. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what this looks like on the student's end. All right, so again, you go in as your winner statuses. You can say view project. All right, so on the student's end, it's only gonna look like this. It's always gonna stay yellow until they get 100% SRC approved. All right, so again, a student will never know that their project had been disqualified. So please avoid trying to say or ask your students, hey, Johnny, what is your current SRC status? Because again, they'll never know if it was disqualified. All right, the only time they'll say different is if it says it needs to be updated or it needs to be reviewed. Or corrections are needed. All right, so again, here are the students. Again, this project had been disqualified, but again, the status has not changed. All right, finally then, that brings us to how do we finalize our winners? Okay, so anytime we finalize our winners, we go ahead and we look for this purple bar that says select winners. Go ahead, select your winners, click on the more info, click the appropriate division of the projects that you are wanting to advance. So let's say you're the administrator for the middle school, you go ahead and you select middle school division projects. From there, because this school or this district only has one kid, it's made up, we only have one kid. However, all of your students would be shown here if you had multiple students involved. Make sure you click this button that says advancing to next fair, yes. If a student is not advancing to the next fair, you can leave that blank. However, if you intend to move that student on to the next fair, always, always, always click yes. You do not need to do category placement. This is optional. This is only for your record. Once you've gone through your list and you've selected all the students that you've wanted to advance to the next fair, be sure to save your winners. When you save your winners, that doesn't mean that you've already advanced them. That only means that you've selected the students that you wanted from your list, okay? You can always go in and change this list until you finalize. Once you finalize, you cannot go backwards. Once a roster or students of a school or district are finalized, we cannot undo that process, all right? So what does the finalization process then look like? Again, when you get here, you see that we have a message from the parent fair. Please take the time to read this message. Because we are going virtually, the message has changed from years past. All right, so the message has changed from years past to include some information as it relates to the virtual fair, okay? So you'll have time to review this message and then go ahead and select again which division you want to advance project from. Here, you'll see the list of the students you selected will show up here, all right? Because this is middle school, advancing to ISEF is not relevant for middle schools. The only time this button or this section is relevant is for the district regional fairs, excuse me, for the regional fairs. So for the district fair, you don't have to worry about this. Only the regional fair and the state fair needs to worry about advancing to ISEF. Again, this is your last opportunity to look over your roster and ensure that your list and the list here in Scienteer match up. Once you go ahead and you click this button here where it says check the box below to acknowledge that you are finalizing, and you click finalize winners, you have then, that is all you have to do. Your process is then complete. Any questions there on finalizing winners? Great, well, we've talked about the main things that we needed to talk about. Any questions that we might have? We'll open it up to questions, or any specific demonstrations that you'd all like to see me perform here on Scienteer. No? Great. All right, are we sure? I mean, I did block off 1 whole hour for us, if need be. Okay.
So
Oh, I see questions here.
I have a question. As we
Yes.
go through the process, if we do start to have questions about this stuff, can we just ask you at the next meeting next week?
It depends. Yes. In short, yes. My answer is yes. However, if it is something immediate that you really need before the next meeting, of course, feel free to contact me, and I will be more than happy to jump on a Zoom session with you to, you know, entertain your questions, or even do a demonstration like this. I do see some questions in the chat. Hello. Yes, so yes, this will be available. We are recording the meeting, and it will be available. So Catherine Harris, your comment about once I advance students, I thought they were no longer visible to me. They are no longer visible. Okay, let me go here under my training school. All right. So here we see this school has already advanced their students on. The only
Excuse
way
me, Dr. Rondon, you probably
Sorry.
need to share the screen again, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, so I understand. So yes, as you advance students, those students will move from your student list into this section here called your winner status. All right, so to see students that you've advanced from your fair to the next fair, you can always check their status by going here where it says winner statuses, okay? That is also true for teachers. If we go in as we log in as Miss Strawberry Preserves, Miss Strawberry Preserves can check her student statuses again by going here to the winner project statuses. All right. So let me pull up the chat to see if we have any other questions. Let me move this chat box here. Okay, so yeah, so you should still have access of viewing your students' accounts. All right, yes, winner statuses, yes, absolutely. Any other questions that you guys might have for me? Or for Dr. Domian, or perhaps you guys have a question that's not related to what was covered.
I think Dr. Rondo, if you could just go ahead and, first of all, thank you for providing this very thorough webinar for us and for those who are in attendance. We will more than likely put this on our YouTube SEFH channel.
Yes.
So that way everyone could have accessibility to it. So if you'd like to share out, I'm sure Dr. Rondon will submit that YouTube channel link to you, and you can go ahead and forward that to whomever you need to, of your colleagues. But we will also have another webinar. Dr. Rondon, would you like to tell them when and time, place that may take?
So our next webinar session is next week, same time, same place.
And what will that be?
What's that? I'm sorry?
And what will be the topic of discussion?
Oh, geez. Off the top of my head, I forgot. No, we're going to be covering how to upload that material. Again, because we're going virtual, that's going to be the bulk of what we discuss for that meeting. Is primarily the upload information. Zandra, are you wanting the link to the video, you say? Do you mean?
For next week.
So the link for next week, on that original email that I had sent, you have to also register for that meeting. So each meeting has a different registration, yes.
Okay. So you're gonna send one out?
I can definitely send you an update or a reminder, yes.
Yep, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, comments, guys?
Well, we thank you so much for your participation and support of your students during this COVID experience of this new normal. You know, we thank you because you are the forefront responders, first responders in our hearts of working with our students. And without you, we wouldn't be able to have that connection to provide this opportunity of platform for scientific showcase of students' experiences in their STEM research. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you once again for your participation. We hope that you have a great rest of the week and a restful weekend, and we hope to see you definitely next week for the next webinar. All right.
Have a good
Thank you,
afternoon,
everybody.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.